In such a fast-paced society, it's easy to lose track of the world around you. Always being focused on the next task or big adventure, sometimes the present moment can slip away. And with so much information at our fingertips now more than ever, it's important to take a step back and reconnect with nature and all that surrounds you. Now, Hyundai brands the new 2024 Santa Fe as the vehicle to do just that. A mid-size SUV that can help you take in the present moment. Hyundai's marketing is all about conquering the weekend with this new Santa Fe. Finding time to return to nature and take control can be a challenge for us all. So we decided to hit the trails and do this review out in the Arizona desert to put this Santa Fe to the test. We wanted to find out if you could truly conquer the weekend.
With a rugged, boxy exterior, rear captain's chairs, all-wheel drive, and a UVC sanitation box in this thing, I don't think that would be too hard to do in our Santa Fe. Now, the Santa Fe does come with a total of 5 different trim levels.
The SE starts at $33,950 and can range all the way up to the Calligraphy that starts at $46,500. Our fully loaded Calligraphy comes out to $50,195, and that's including a $1,300 destination fee.
So even though we are here out on the trails with the Calligraphy trim, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is going to be the most off-road oriented Santa Fe. If you're looking for a more off-roady and performance-driven Santa Fe, that would be the XRT. And what that's gonna give you is a better ground clearance, better all-terrain tires, and even a cross member that goes across the roof rails. That's not to say though that this Calligraphy can't take you to places like this. This vehicle does look quite rugged, but it also looks modern and it also looks adventurous. And just check out the color that we have it here in. This is the earthy brass matte finish. It looks extraordinary. It honestly looks like someone went and took to an aftermarket shop to get it wrapped, but it's not. It's a factory optioned color, and I think it's super cool how Hyundai and Genesis have been offering these really unusual, even matte, finished colors that you could pick from. I think it's really cool. As we look at the front end here, you'll notice more black accents. There's not really any chrome anywhere. Definitely looking, again, rugged. We do have a newly redesigned mesh grille. Below that, we have one camera, and that does help with our 360 view that we get for this vehicle. To the left and right of that, we do have these little vents that when you turn the car on will pop up open and allow airflow to get into the vehicle and cool it down. As we look at our headlights, these are nice and bright, and I really like how they're in the shape of an H, maybe for Hyundai, most likely. And it's a good thing these are bright because there is an absence, as you can notice, of fog lights. Instead, we just get these corner air inlets that are functional, but so far it hasn't been too much of an issue for us. As we walk around a little bit further, notice the top of the hood here, just some nice smooth boxy lines, and it almost looks like a Land Rover Defender until you get to the rear, but we'll get to that. For the wheels, these are 21-inch wheels wrapped in 245 all-terrain E-rated tires. Another reason we felt comfortable to take it off-roading because the E-rated are a little bit more durable. Talking about the wheelbase, you are looking at 110.8 inches. That's 2 inches longer than last year. This vehicle is also 2 inches wider and 2 inches taller. As we come down the line, check out no chrome accents. It's just all black and that earthy brass color. It looks rugged. I mean, I'm gonna say this a million times. But as we get to our C-pillar here, this is what they're calling a C-pillar assist handle, which is really unique. And you're like, well, what is this thing? Well, if you've got some boxes or you're storing something with your roof rails up here and you want to easily grab it and access it, check this out. Put your foot on the wheel, pull yourself up, grab whatever you need to grab, put your hand back down, and you're good to go. And then shutter close just like that. Let's take a look at the rear. I'm gonna open up the liftgate here with our key fob. Notice how the key fob does look very futuristic. I will say it is a little bit lightweight. It does feel a little cheap. I wish it was maybe a little heavier, but regardless, check out the amount of space we have in here. So our third row of seating is folded down to accommodate all of our camping stuff. But if those seats were to be up, we'd be looking at 14.6 cubic feet of space. How we have it set up now, we have 40.5 cubic feet of space, which as you can see is more than enough for all of our camping equipment. And if we desired even more space, we could go ahead and throw the second row of seating down and we'd be looking at 79.8 cubic feet of space. So very, very practical. If we didn't want to include all of our camping stuff and we wanted to sleep out of the car, we could easily bring half of this, throw an air mattress down, and sleep comfortably in it. This is a very practical vehicle. Fun fact, I do believe this vehicle was designed from the rear end first and then towards the front, which is probably why it looks a little weird, but also cool. So guys, with that being said, I say we check out what lies underneath the hood. All right, opening up the hood here, nice and easy. That looks really good underneath here. So what we're looking at, there are two engine options available for the Santa Fe. This one is going to be your standard 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. This was introduced in 2021 for the Santa Fe. Talking about horsepower, you're looking at 277 with 311 foot-pounds of torque. Gas mileage, 28 on the highway, 20 in the city for a combined 24 miles per gallon. Now the other engine that you can option for is the 1.6 liter turbo 4-cylinder hybrid. That one is also available in your 2-wheel drive and all-wheel drive configurations. Now this thing does weigh 4,400 pounds, which is 400 pounds heavier than last year's model. It can tow 3,500 pounds. The XRT can tow 4,500 pounds. So with that being said, I say we hop in the interior, check out what we're rocking with, see how luxurious it is.
The interior of the Santa Fe Calligraphy is absolutely striking, especially in the higher trims, which feature a large 12.3-inch wraparound dual screen display. The infotainment screen is unbelievably easy to use. Driver profiles are also available to further customize the vehicle if that's your thing too. The cabin offers abundant storage spaces, including a slim upper glove compartment with an ultraviolet sanitation feature. This, of course, was developed during COVID. You also get a, traditional glove box, and you also get some extra space near the dual center charging pads. The Calligraphy trim is particularly luxurious with suede on the pillars, sun visors, and headliner, as well as stitched leather on the doors, dash, and center armrest. The striped birch-like accent trim on the dash definitely flow well together with the rest of the cabin. The spacious second row seats and cargo area easily accommodate all of our camping gear. The center console can be opened from the front or the back, and USB power outlets can be found on the side of the front seats, just adding a bit more practicality. For the Calligraphy trim, you also get one-touch windows, a relax mode that reclines the seat completely for relaxation or napping, heated and ventilated seats, 360 cameras, the fingerprint scanner, and a 12-inch heads-up display. And don't forget about the captain's chairs in the rear. The second row of seating offers 42.3 inches of legroom, which is a pretty good amount, while the third row has just 30 inches, but you get rear climate controls, making the Santa Fe a pretty family-friendly automobile.
My biggest takeaway from just driving this thing is, and I say this, I feel like every video, but this takes the cake for the smoothest ride. On the road, it is unbelievably smooth, almost like an EV level smooth, because the shifting is just so seamless and the suspension is so dialed. I mean, we've been taking this thing on washboard roads. When we first started, we were still at 35 PSI and we didn't feel any need to air down. We still air down the tires to 25 PSI because we don't want to puncture any holes in the tires with some sharp rocks, but it's behaved so well and I'm really liking this thing. Body roll also, for having such a soft suspension, it's not really an issue at all. Everything feels smooth, the seats grip me very nice. One of my gripes about the Sequoia was that the seats didn't hold you tight enough, and I don't feel like that's the case with this vehicle. It's nice and comfortable. Going around corners, I'm not being thrown around anywhere. It's predictable. I will say I do feel like I am still driving a big SUV, but it is definitely manageable and very, enjoyable to drive. I don't know if you can tell, but we're going through some rutted sections out on the trail, and honestly, it is quite soft and smooth, and I'm very, very impressed. While the acceleration is smooth and so is the suspension, the braking surprisingly doesn't feel as smooth. I'm able to safely stop the vehicle. However, it's more so a feedback that the pedal is giving me. It's almost like when I'm applying pressure, I can feel a pulsating feeling in the pedal, which is quite odd. It does still feel safe again, but just noteworthy. Talking a bit about parking this gigantic vehicle. Obviously it's big and it's boxy, and in smaller parking lots you may have a little bit of trouble parking a vehicle like this, but I'm happy to say because of the 360 cameras, it has been very easy to get this thing exactly how I want it and to be able to maneuver it in my garage with another full-size SUV comfortably. So we're gonna go ahead and make this full U-turn here. The turning radius ain't too shabby in this thing. And you hear the noises it makes, very pleasant. But it's just so easy to see where I'm going. I can use my infotainment system to get a real good sense of where I'm going and what I need to look out for. And I think, you know, Hyundai and Genesis just do a great job with their 360 cameras, so can't complain there at all. Something to also note about driving this thing, it does feel really, really luxurious and also rugged because of the appearance on the outside, which is so unusual to get best of both worlds at almost $50,000. It checks all the right boxes. But I do want to say the steering wheel is a little bit tighter than what I'm used to in comfort mode. We do have a sport mode, we have comfort, aka normal, my drive, and then snow. But in our normal drive mode, the wheel is a little stiffer for my liking. It almost feels like you're driving a sports car. Some people may like that and they can get a real good feel for the road, but I guess I like mine a little sloppier and just a little easier to maneuver, but another notable thing. My overall thoughts with the calligraphy trim specifically is I'm very impressed. I think not every vehicle can pull off such a luxurious interior with every amenity pretty much you could want, but also get that adventure exterior that looks mean and aggressive at a relatively affordable price point. So I'm very impressed. So taking this thing out on the freeway, I like to always compare the wind noise for different vehicles. And I think for the first time ever here at the Collector Car Network, we have a vehicle that gets a perfect 10 for quietness in the cabin. I don't know what they have done to isolate the cabin noise. It's just so quiet and so enjoyable to listen to our Bose audio system. And that audio system, man, let me tell you, no one does it better than Bose. They have that bass that other vehicles can't replicate quite the same way. I've always been a Bose fanboy though, so it's easy for me, to say something like that. But really in this vehicle, with just how quiet it is and how dialed you can make the sound, makes for quite an enjoyable ride.
On the road, the cruise control and lane assist systems perform exceptionally well, easily steering the vehicle around corners on its own. The heads-up display projects clearly onto the windshield without any glares or distortions. For a big bulky vehicle, visibility is pretty good, and the blind spot monitoring systems alert on both the heads-up display and the side mirrors, which made me feel pretty confident in the driver's seat. My biggest complaint in terms of drivability, it has to be the turbo delay. Pulling out in front of vehicles or even just turning onto another road, I found myself going nowhere for a second. But once that turbo kicks in, you're flying. Like I said, this vehicle is surprisingly quick.
Hyundai was right. With how fast life moves, sometimes it's important to take a step back and really get out and enjoy the stillness of nature. Now, when it comes to conquering the weekend, this Santa Fe definitely does just that. And that's whether you're taking your family out cruising or coming on an adventure kind of like what we did. Now remember, everything we have said is subjective. We'd always recommend you go to your local Hyundai dealerships, try one of these things out for yourselves, and then let us know down in the comments how you felt about it. With that being said, guys, my name is Luke, and I'm gonna go whip up some hamburgers.